It is now 6 o'clock on Thursday, June 15th, and I will call this Lacey City Council meeting to order. For all those who are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, just a couple things. Mayor Ryder is excused absent. Council Member Cox will be joining us remotely. And just a quick amendment to the agenda. On the public recognition section, we will be adding one item for our city clerk recognition.
Would you like a motion?
I would.
I move to accept the amended agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. First item on our agenda is public recognitions and presentations. And tonight we will be recognizing Timberline High School baseball team who have taken fifth in state this year. If it's okay, I'd like to have the head baseball coach just come up for a minute. Is Doug LaPalme here? Hi. To this podium right here. Would you like to share a little bit about this year's season? And
Sure. First of all, thank you for having us in this recognition. Obviously, sorry we roll a little deep around Timberline, but for our team this year, a lot of good things happened. First, starting off at the beginning of the year, we beat defending and current 2A state champion in Tumwater, beat defending 4A state champion in Olympia. We swept our crosstown rivals, Thurston and Riveridge. That's why you got the head turn from the Thurston commenter there. We, in our league, we won league for the first time since 2012. We also had in our league, our league MVP was Gage Reeser. Our pitcher of the year in our league was Marcus Holson. I think that's the first time a clean sweep from a Timberline team in those honors. Also, first place in our district, beating Stadium, and then finishing fifth in state. So a lot of good things coming from our team this year, and just a good group of young men and families that are coming through Timberline right now. So
awesome. Thank you. Congratulations on your victory this year, all of you. Next on our agenda, we have our 2022-2023 Lacey Youth Council recognition. Please come forward, Lacey Youth Council. This will be the last meeting for this council, as a lot of them are graduating this year, and several of them going off to school at different areas and around the country. And please.
Excuse me, Deputy Mayor. Can we maybe do the handshake with the team? Say hi real quick.
I would like that.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty awesome.
You guys mind? You guys mind? Come shake hands with the council. Starting over here with our city attorney.
Who's the catcher? Who's the catcher again? We represent, fellas. We represent. We swept. Good job.
Strong young guys.
How many of you are returning? Most of you?
You're going to do it again next year, right?
Great job.
Good job, you guys. Haven't had handshakes that firm for at least a year or so. Next on our agenda, our 2022-2023 Lacey Youth Council recognition. And to the podium, I would like to invite Sadie Siglin and the Lacey Youth Council.
Hello, my name is Sadie Siglin. I am the Lacey Youth Council Coordinator. I just recently joined the Youth Council as their coordinator in the last few months. Thankfully, due to the hard work of Kelly Adams and Shannon Kelly Fong, this Youth Council had an extremely successful career. They spent the whole year advocating for youth at their schools and bringing back those youth voices to the City Council, helping us build a two-way dialogue and getting valuable input from the youth in our community so we can continue to make improvements in our community that meet the needs of everybody. So, Council, I would invite you to stand and join me in recognizing the Lacey Youth Council for 2022 and 23. I have Justin Begley, who served as our youth mayor. Congratulations. Yeah, go ahead and give them all the handshake. Rihanna Joseph, who served as our deputy mayor this year. Congratulations, Rihanna. Ayana Young, who served as our first clerk on the Lacey Youth Council. Congratulations. Nathaniel Clay, who is a representative to the library board this year. Congratulations, Nathaniel. Sarah Town, who is a representative to the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Board. Thank you, Sarah. Rory Line. Congratulations. Thank you. Nathan Miller. Thanks, Nathan. Great job. And Keegan Bolt. Thank you so much, Keegan. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council, for celebrating this recognition this year. Thank you.
I would say we could use some good athlete representation on there too. So baseball players, some that place in state, youth council.
Thank you guys for being here. You know, as the youth council's leaving, one of the things I wanted to say was, you know, when this youth council was stood up in amazing fashion by Kelly Adams, you know, they really did bring a voice to the council that we hadn't heard and that we hadn't had, and the voice and the organization itself, what it produced was didn't just affect us as a council, but it also affected our neighboring jurisdictions. And so, you know, as I get to go to some of these multi-jurisdictional meetings, there have been talks circulating that, you know, other jurisdictions are now wanting to stand up youth councils, and other jurisdictions are now seeing the value of it. And maybe they saw the value of it before, but now they're actually doing something about it. So thanks to, you know, it being initiated here in the city of Lacey. So thank you, Ms. Adams, for what you've done. And it looks like you've set a precedence in this county. So thank you. And the next item on our agenda is a recognition for public service. And man, this one not going to be easy because our city clerk has been with us for so long, but has decided to retire and will be passing on her position to someone who definitely deserves it. So tonight, it gives me great pleasure and with great sadness to have the incredible distinction of recognizing one of the greatest unsung heroes here at the City of Lacey. She doesn't wear a cape or a mask or give any flashy presentations to the City Council for that matter, but she keeps the city moving forward. More often than not, we discuss and celebrate the work of the city. We commonly refer to large capital projects, new policies, and innovative programs. But none of these items would happen if it wasn't for the efforts of our city clerk. And we've had a phenomenal one for the past 6 years in Perry Edmonds. From getting out required public notices to updating municipal codes to making sure that we get the documents we depend on to do our jobs as council members, Perry has been there to support us and to support the city. Tonight we celebrate Perry and her upcoming retirement. This is unfortunately her last meeting with us as a city clerk. Perry has meticulously performed and excelled at the duties of city clerk, including the public records officer, driver, and part-time cat herder of the legislative process, notary, researcher, and carrying out all the other duties as assigned. And these duties have been wide-ranging. One thing that has always stood out to the council as well as the staff and members of the public is that among all these duties, Perry has always consistently accomplished them at the highest and most professional level, and by doing so, made the city of Lacey great along the way. Perry truly exemplifies the city's organizational values of integrity, service, professionalism, and empathy, and has done so for the past 17 years of her service with the city of Lacey. During her tenure here, Perry has held 3 different positions, helped support over 20 council members, facilitated over 1,800 agenda packets for the city council, including back when packets were physically printed and distributed in the 5-pound binders way back before we had electronic service. She led the conversion of said physical binders to electronic copies, saving the city hundreds of dollars in paper while enhancing accessibility for the community. And she witnessed the city grow from around 35,000 to well over 58,000 people. Doing some quick math, as a city clerk for the past 6 years with an average of 90 council meetings per year, Perry has astonishingly attended or been a part of around 540 council meetings. This totals 40,716 minutes or 695 hours or 29 days of council meetings. She's put up with us for quite some time, and that is an impressive feat. Sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts and with respect and the deepest gratitude, the Lacey City Council would like to acknowledge our departing clerk, Perry Edmonds, for everything she has done on behalf of the city of Lacey.
Oh my God.
I'm going to save this. Actually, I'll probably hand it to you, but I'll take it back. So you can okay. And then you actually get your own gavel.
Oh my
so that you
goodness.
can share what you're going to do.
Think of something. Thank you. Well, thank you. That was quite surprising. This is not usually what I do and stand up here in front of people. I'm usually behind the scenes quite a bit. But I do want to thank the City Council and our leadership for making such a great city so easy to work for and such a pleasure to work for. But I have also been very fortunate to work with so many talented and dedicated people here that some of who I have made lifelong friendships that will continue as I go on to retire. And they have made it such a great journey to work here, and I'll never forget that. So thank you so much.
Do you mind if you share?
Sure.
You're on the other side now.
On the other side. Gotta run the gamut like everybody else. So you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for Perry for years and years of service and for allowing me and others to stop by your office and ask questions, sometimes relevant and sometimes ridiculous. And so I just want to say that I'm going to miss you. Yeah. Okay. The next item on our agenda is public comments. And it looks like we have a few people signed up for comments tonight. And what we will do tonight is we will do in-person comments first, and then we will move on to the Zoom comments. And so first on our list is Irene Davies. Please come up. Are you here tonight? Hi. Please come up to the podium. So just state your name and where you live and try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Irene Davies. I live in Evergreen Heights, which is a suburb of, we would hope, Lacey, but we are not annexed, so we are Olympia. I live on 29th Way South. I have become a board member for our homeowners association. And we have struck up several ideas, several issues as far as getting to know where we stand, our trees, our sidewalks, our water. And I saw that somebody brought the booklets. I want one, please. Great references. And we want to do our part as far as Evergreen Heights is concerned to make sure that we are an effective tool in the community. And so we are prepared to come with questions and get a hold of our council members and that, so that we can be reassured exactly what we need to do to keep our community of Evergreen Heights thriving, professional, and given the right attitude. And I appreciate you having me up tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, it looks like we have Wanda Lou Clayton. Is Wanda here tonight? You don't? Okay, you were here to support your friend. Okay. And last, we have A. Polar is what is written here. Is that person here tonight? Seeing none. And we'll move on to our virtual comments. And we do have one virtual comment. If Tech is listening, is that person ready to be brought in?
Yes.
Okay.
Stu Souders will be joining us shortly.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. This is Stu Souders. Is it my 3 minutes?
It is your 3 minutes, sure. Please, never mind. Please go.
Hi, this is Stu Souders, longtime resident of Lacey, Emerald Heights area. I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk with everyone. I commend the city of Lacey. I wouldn't live here if I weren't a happy camper in the way the city is managed. An item that is causing me a bit of concern over the last year or so is homelessness and what we see within our community as I drive about. Been spending a little more time close to home than I had in the past. It seems to me that we've got examples both to the north and the south of what not to do to address the issue, and I would just ask that we not use misplaced compassion to exasperate a problem. And if there is an opportunity for an older curmudgeon to join and help, I would be willing to do that. But thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you for your comment. See, next on our agenda is proclamations. And our first proclamation tonight will be for senior services for South Sound, who are having their 50th anniversary.
Whereas Senior Services for South Sound was founded in 1973 by a forward-thinking group of community leaders for the purpose of helping seniors thrive. And
whereas the City of Lacey recognizes seniors as a large and fast-growing segment of our population and honors their role as leaders, parents, grandparents, and elders of all types. And
whereas Senior Services for South Sound celebrates its 50th anniversary in 2023 and continues its mission to improve the quality of life for people as they age, and has grown to serve seniors all over Lacey, Thurston County, and Mason County. And
whereas the City of Lacey built the Virgil S. Clarkson Lacey Senior Center to provide robust programs and services to Lacey seniors. And
whereas the City of Lacey enjoys a strong relationship and collaborative partnership with Senior Services for South Sound and celebrates the work they do to provide key resources for community members to age healthily in Lacey. And
whereas the City of Lacey acknowledges that countless seniors have received meals, housing, support, and friendship from the invaluable programs, staff, and volunteers at the Virgil S. Clarkson Senior Center. And now, therefore, I, Malcolm Miller, Deputy Mayor, City of Lacey, on behalf of the Lacey City Council, do hereby recognize and commemorate June 15, 2023, as Senior Services for South Sound Day in the City of Lacey, and encourage all community members and businesses to learn more about Senior Services for South Sound and to recognize the seniors in our community for all they have achieved and will continue to accomplish in Lacey and beyond. Signed by myself, Deputy Mayor Malcolm Miller, June 15th. And tonight with us via Zoom, we have Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Deputy Mayor Miller. I have to start with an apology that I can't be with you tonight. I so wanted to be. I had a board meeting that just ended, so I wasn't able to get there in time. Thank you so much for this, Council. I can't tell you how much it means to us, our partnership. I want to express tonight publicly our appreciation to you all as Council and past councils that have been instrumental in building and maintaining and supporting the Virgil S. Clarkson Lacey Senior Center, and City Manager Rick Walk, who I've had the chance to meet and spend a little time with at the dedication of the tree planted in Virgil's honor behind the Senior Center. Assistant City Manager Shannon Kelly Fong, who has been nothing but available and supportive and helpful to senior services at every step of the way through COVID, through everything we've been through the last 3 years that I've been here. And Parks Director Jen Burbidge, who is just an invaluable partner in everything we do. So thank you so much for this. We appreciate it. We're grateful. And here's to continuing to meet the many seniors that will come in the years ahead. And let's keep doing a great job together.
Thank you so much for the Meals on Wheels and all the different programs that you guys have available for the seniors. You know, the City of Lacey has a 26% senior population, probably one of the bigger percentages in this county. And you know, we continue to grow as a senior community with places like the Reserve. I think we have another. Tumwater has one going up, but we also have another one going up. But As a person whose mother-in-law lives with me, I get to see firsthand, you know, what happens when you age in place, when you need rides to your doctor's appointments, when you need to lean on people for help and support and guidance to make it through some of the things that you used to be able to do on your own. And so I really applaud what you guys do, because there are people who don't have the option of living with their children, or don't have anybody in the community to lean on, don't have anybody to get them to appointments and so on and so forth. And you guys have really filled in the gap for this community in that aspect. So thank you.
You're so welcome, and I appreciate you sharing that. It's often misunderstood that Senior Services is not only an organization that helps seniors who may be struggling, like in need of meals or transportation, but that we exist truly to improve the quality of life for people like you and I as we age. And so we do trips and travel and classes and all sorts of activities. It really is a beautiful thing. If you haven't been in the Lacey Senior Center recently, every time I'm there, and I'm there every week, it is just astonishing how vibrant it is. Every room is filled with different activities. There's line dancing happening here and mahjong happening there and people eating lunch over here. It's just a beautiful thing. I struggle for a word better than beautiful. I often struggle for a different word, but it just comes back to being beautiful. And I'm just so grateful for what we're able to do there in partnership with the City of Lacey.
Thank you. And your fundraisers are a lot of fun, too.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, under proclamations, we have a special proclamation tonight for our 2023 state legislatures in an appreciation for them and all the work that they do. And I see them here with us tonight. And thank you guys so much for being here. There are so many things that we have to be grateful for this year because you guys have really, in my opinion, knocked it out of the park. And I know we won't be able to get to all of your accomplishments tonight because there's so many of them. Every time I go to a meeting, I get to hear about something that you guys got passed or something that you guys did for the state as a whole or something that you guys did for a region. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the things that you guys have done for the city of Lacey. And this is also an opportunity for the council to thank the legislators of the 2nd, 22nd, and 35th districts for their work advocating for Lacey projects and Lacey community as a whole. Tonight we have with us Representative Barkas. We have with us, I can see Representative Bateman and hi Beth. Am I missing anybody? Oh, Mr. Couture online. Are we supposed to also have? No? Okay. So we have a proclamation for you guys in thanks for all that you guys have done for us. And after that, maybe the council might have a few words to say about some of the things that have passed that we really appreciate. Is that okay?
All right. Whereas the City of Lacey expresses its appreciation to the Washington State Legislature for its dedication to furthering our legislative priorities and strengthening the partnership with the City of Lacey. And
whereas Senator Sam Hunt, Representative Lori Dolan, and Representative Jessica Bateman of Legislative District 22, Senator Jim McCune, Representative J.T. Wilcox, and Representative Andrew Barkas of Legislative District 2, Senator Drew McEwen, Representative Dane Griffey, and Representative Travis Kocher of Legislative District 35 for serving the community members of Lacey and working diligently in support of the City of Lacey's 2023 legislative agenda. And
whereas legislators of the 22nd, 2nd, and 35th legislative districts adopted a capital budget that invests a total of $1.15 million to support the development of the new Greg Cuyo Park, including the addition of an ADA accessible path, an inclusive playground, and whereas legislators of the 22nd, 2nd, and 35th legislative districts adopted a capital budget that invests $103,000 to upgrade a transformer at the Regional Athletic Complex to meet community demand for electric vehicle charging stations. And
whereas legislators of the 22nd, 2nd, and 35th legislative districts helped address the city of Lacey's public safety concerns with commercial airport siting process by addressing law enforcement vehicle pursuits to allow peace officers to return to a reasonable suspicion standard for certain dangerous crimes, and by reaching an agreement to permanently address the criminality of drug possession and use in Washington. And
whereas legislators of the 22nd, 2nd, and 35th legislative districts provided continued state leadership on the homeless crisis by adopting an operating budget that provides $60 million to local governments and nonprofits to provide housing and other wraparound services to unhoused individuals residing in state rights-of-way. And whereas legislators of the 22nd, 2nd, and 35th legislative districts continue to advocate for the improvement of the Interstate 5 corridor between Mounts Road and Tumwater, which is essential to the state's environmental, commerce, and transportation priorities, as well as Joint Base Lewis McChord's mission readiness, resulting in the transportation budget programming $32.5 million in the 25-27 biennium and $26 million in the 27-29 for this project. And
now, therefore, I, Malcolm Miller, Deputy Mayor of the City of Lacey, on behalf of the Lacey City Council and on behalf of the community of Lacey, do hereby pay tribute to the legislators of the 22nd, 2nd, and 35th legislative districts: Senator Sam Hunt, Senator Jim McCune, Senator Drew McEwen, Representative Dolio, Representative Bateman, Representative Barkis, Representative Wilcox, Representative Griffey, and Representative Couture, for their outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to the community members of Lacey, and urge all community members to join us in extending our appreciation for their public service. Signed by me, Malcolm Miller, Deputy Mayor, June 15th, 2023. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Yes, please.
I just wanted to say a big thanks. You guys handled yourselves with a tremendous amount of grace and compassion, and you listened to the people when it came to the siting of the airport. It was very, it seemed like everybody had an opinion on it. It was mostly negative, but sometimes it's just a process. I told people you got to believe in the process. You really do. But you guys helped with that. People felt like they're listened to, and that it wasn't just, hey, we're listening to you and in one ear and out the other. So big thank you for that. Everybody that I talked to felt like they were heard and that they had a voice. So that's awesome.
Councilmember Kunkel.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I want to thank you personally for the focus on public safety concerns and supporting law enforcement. This has been a huge ordeal, and I know that there was a lot of back and forth, but we got it done. There's always room for improvement, but what we have here is a good start, and I really appreciate the effort made for addressing public safety concerns. Thank you.
Anybody else? Please.
I just wanted to say thank you, especially to Representatives Dolio and Couture, for championing options for women who have children in our community. I spoke with Representative Couture during a lobby day event during the session, and he was very supportive of making sure that women in our communities have options and high-quality health care when they're expecting, including access to midwifery services. And Representative Dolio was a champion of increasing the Medicaid reimbursement rates for that. So thank you so much for what you do for the women in our community.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just add real quickly, it's really been a great accomplishment. Well, not really an accomplishment, but I really love the fact that we are now represented in the city of Lacey by 3 different legislative districts. In the past, it's all of Lacey was in the 22nd, with folks from the 2nd always supporting us heavily. Thank you, Andrew. Having our urban growth area, but still supporting Lacey heavily. Now you actually represent part of the city, and that's going to be really good for Lacey's future. So thank you all.
Councilmember Cox.
Thank you. I really want to appreciate you all for your support on getting the money for Greg Cuyo Park. I don't know that people outside Lacey understand so much what a gem this 500-acre park is going to be when it's fully in place. But I really appreciate the $500,000 to help fund the ADA path and inclusive playground at the park, because this opens it up to everybody, and we're all about equal access to the park. So thank you all so much for your efforts on that, and I hope one day, not too far from now, that you'll all come out and enjoy this beautiful park. Thanks.
Please.
One last thing. Yeah. Never miss a good opportunity, right? So I think our next heaviest lift is going to be the corridor of I-5 across the Nisqually Reach. I don't have to tell you guys about it. You know all about it, but I just wanted to bring that up and just shine a little light on that.
It seems like transportation rules the nation, rules a lot of the conversations that we get into, and this area's transportation is paramount. And apparently, I was going across I-90 this past weekend, and saw that that's the slowest I've ever traveled on I-90 it was a Sunday afternoon though, and I was headed west. So I was in that group. But man, we were moving pretty slow, and the same thing seems to happen I-5 North. But you guys, I know it's on your radar, and as you can tell, the rest of the council is excited about what could come out of this in this next session or two, and what may happen with the studies that are happening now, as I guess it's been declared a national emergency that I-5 be examined in this area. So very exciting times for this region. One of the things that came out of this session that I was really happy about was the reciprocal licensing that passed. And so what that means is let's say, for example, you're a soldier, you're PCSing here you guys know, but if you're PCSing here to our region, to JBLM, and let's say your spouse is a licensed nurse or something along those lines, and they couldn't get licensed here in the state of Washington, or it would take them a year or two to get licensed here in the state of Washington, with this reciprocal licensing bill that passed, they can get licensed right away, as some of that connective tissue that would keep them from licensing immediately has now been connected. So what that means for us as a community is that creates a second income in that home, and that means that maybe they can afford to live here instead of us saying, sorry, you can't afford to live in this community on your one income, and so they can arrive here with two incomes. It just helps us all the way around. There's no two ways about it. What you guys did was really great, and that's just one of the things that came out of this past session. So again, as a council, we say thank you for all that you've done for us. Would you guys mind coming to the podium for just a minute? Yeah, just to the podium. I just wanted to give you guys a chance to say that. Oh, take a charge.
We're pretty good at this.
Yeah, you guys are. Don't take all night, please.
I'll put my timer on real quick, so I know you have.
State your name.
Andrew Barkas, State Representative, 2nd District, and great to be here with my colleagues tonight. And thank you, Lacey City Council. It is our honor to serve and work with you. It is truly a collaborative effort, and this is one of the great things about this region, is that we work together. And when we see a big problem, whether it's homelessness or the transportation or housing or the reciprocal bills that we did on the labor issues, we work together. And your city and the people who represent you, your great team that comes to us and helps us navigate those things is very impactful, and the results are success, right? And when it comes to capital budget, transportation, and other things. So thank you for the acknowledgement, but we throw it right back at you because you are the boots on the ground every day for the people of the city of Lacey, and we're just honored to come alongside you and work together. Thank you.
Well, I think Representative Barkas said it all. I would just say thank you. I'm going to turn it back on you guys because I know that as local government, you're the closest to the people. You're our front line. You're giving us information. You're talking with people at the mailboxes and the grocery stores and doing really important work, I know from experience. So thank you so much for continuing to do that work and working with us so we can represent you better.
I guess I would just second everything that they said. I really do appreciate working with Lacey City Council and working on behalf of making our lives better, our communities stronger and more resilient. And that includes Lacey, Tumwater, and Olympia, the places that we serve. And I've always appreciated working with Lacey, and nice to see you in this new position. Excited to see what unfolds with that, and congratulations to you. I don't think I've formally congratulated you. It's exciting to see you there. So really appreciate all you do, and that, all the information back and forth is super helpful when we're trying to get money out of the legislature for our communities. So really appreciate that.
Travis?
Hey guys, sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I'd just like to echo what everyone else said, that Really appreciate the partnership and also very honored to be one of the now many representatives in the for the people of Lacey. And the partnership with the City Council has been great so far, and looking forward to doing some more great things here in the future, and especially in the next session. So thank you for the proclamation. I really appreciate it.
Do you guys mind if we shake hands? Sure.
Threw a plug in there for you.
Thanks again, you guys. I don't want to say that this is their favorite region or we're their favorite city, but I think we're their favorite city. There, I said it. Next on our agenda is under resolutions. And tonight we will be reviewing resolution number 1132, Council Policies, Procedures Manuals Update. And is this your last time briefing? This your last presentation?
Perry can't
Perry
quit
Edmonds,
us.
City Clerk.
You just can't quit us, Perry.
No, I can't.
You can come back, though, for public comment anytime you want. Now that you won't
Remember
be
that.
an employee, you can come say whatever you want to say.
Or submit a public records request, something like that. Tonight I'm bringing to you a recommendation to adopt resolution number 1132 to amend chapter 7 and 9 of your council policy and procedure manual. Just a little bit of a background on the manual and an overview of the recommended changes. June 9th, 2011, the Lacey City Council adopted the Policies and Procedures Manual to standardize the process for implementing current and new council practices, procedures, and policies. Since the last review of the updates on March 2nd, 2023, staff identified proposed amendments for your consideration as outlined in your attachment 2 and 3 in your packet. So the first recommended change is in section 7.01 of council meetings and work sessions. On December 16th, 2021, council approved ordinance number 1610 to change the start time of your regular council meetings and work sessions from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. And this change is now going to be reflected in the policy. The next amendment would be in special meetings, and that is to add the 35th district. And section 7.05, executive sessions, it's to change the policy language to align with the Open Public Meetings Act. And section 7.07, order of business in the council meetings, this is just to update and match the order of business that we currently have in your city council meeting agenda. It adds a roll call and remote attendance announcements for enhanced records management, and it does not define how the roll call is performed by the presiding officer. This could be just as simple as verbally announcing who is present, who is remote, and who is excused. It also adds the Pledge of Allegiance as a distinct order of business. It aligns the proclamations to current practice by the Lacey City Council. Under work sessions, we're actually adding this section. We've added it to define the order of business for work sessions, similar to the regular meetings. Then in Chapter 9, 9.12 for voting procedures, it adds language that would allow council members to use an electronic voting system with our new agenda management system called Civic Clerk. This was added to enhance the records management of action items before the City Council, and this will minimize the chance that a vote is not recorded correctly, and in addition to allowing those attending or watching the public meetings to clearly view the outcomes of the vote. So it's just an option. Once we add that new Civic Clerk agenda management system, it'll just be an option for you guys to use that. Those are the end of the amendments, and
This was presented at the May 23rd, 2023 meeting of the General Government and Public Safety Committee, and they approved it and recommended changes to move forward to the full City Council for your consideration. And with that, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
I would move to adopt resolution number 1132, amending chapters 7 and 9 of the Council Policies Procedures Manual.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? So the new platform, I don't know if if any of us have got to see it yet. Have you?
I did.
You did?
It's very exciting.
Okay.
It's really got great functionality. I'm looking forward to the change.
And we'll be scheduling time to train each of the council members on it before the next council meeting in July. So you all will receive that orientation and training.
I hope you're scheduling a lot of time for some of us that are less technically efficient.
We
I may need more time than most.
and
I'm just
multiply it
saying.
by 3.
We have patience, and we can do it more than once.
And do we have a rollout date or schedule for this new?
Pardon me?
Do we have a rollout date for this, or is there a date in mind?
Janet,
For-
can you take that?
Yeah, so I can absolutely address that. And good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members. So as far as the rollout goes, so it is our intention to have the system up and running by the 23rd. And so that way you all have time to go take a look at it before we transition completely away from Granicus, which we plan to do in early July. So we
23rd
will-
of
June. So it'll
June.
be coming up here pretty soon, and the trainings that the city manager just mentioned are going to be coming up here very shortly. And in addition to those trainings, so there'll be one-on-one trainings with staff. We also plan on sending out some videos that go over the same materials that we cover on the one-on-one trainings. So there will be lots of opportunities for you, for staff members, and for members of the public to learn about the system and get familiar with it. And then certainly we will always be available as a resource as we make this transition if there's any questions that come up.
Okay. Well, it has been moved and seconded, and it has been discussed. 23rd, huh?
Thanks for all your work making that system work, Perry. Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. I can't see Councilmember Cox.
There she is.
I'm an aye.
Okay. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, council.
And that was your last one?
Next
Still
on our
time
agenda.
to reconsider, Perry, if you want to maybe give us a couple more years.
As he walks out with her flush. Resolution number 1133 is the next item on our agenda. Unopened right-of-way vacation, presented by our city attorney, Dave Schneider.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Good evening, council. Look at that. I was promised that Shannon would provide. So I'm here today to talk about a resolution setting a public hearing related to the vacation of a certain area of the city, which is unopened right-of-way. So a vacation occurs when the government relinquishes its authority and ownership and interest in public right-of-way. It's vacated by the city, and when it is vacated, it would be it would transfer to the owners of the abutting properties. There is a process for this. It can be initiated either by petition by 2/3 of the property ownership, or it can be initiated by resolution of the legislative authority. The rules for right-of-way vacation are set forth in the Lacey Municipal Code and in the Revised Code of Washington, Chapter 35, or Chapter 79, Title 35. So what we're talking about here is a 40-foot section of unopened right-of-way that was initially dedicated to the county in 1921 as part of a plat for future roadways. Now, this is in an area of the city that has been subsequently further subdivided to create Indian Summer and the Links subdivisions. Development of the Links subdivision, which is shown in the slide here eliminated the need for the roadway. It is essentially an area, a road that would go absolutely nowhere. And the city doesn't have any maintenance responsibility for unopened right-of-way, but it serves no purpose. There's no public purpose to this property. Oftentimes when property is vacated, the city can require payment from the property owners. However, in this situation, this property was never acquired by the city, so the city wouldn't be seeking payment from the property owners. Yeah, absolutely.
Could you go back 2 slides? That one right there.
Yep.
Okay. So the vacated property, all the abutting owners to the north are going to benefit from it, or is it just the neighbor to the south?
It would be all the abutting property owners.
All the abutting properties would
correct
have a stake in the
center
vacated
line
property. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was David Burns back there when I was on the planning commission, but I want to say we talked about this piece of property because of the right of way and them needing to trim the trees or something, and they had.
Could be, and there has been some history with this particular piece of unopened right-of-way. And I'll just remind council that all council's doing tonight is potentially passing a resolution that would set a public hearing. So at that public hearing, there will be significant amount of additional information, and that might be the more appropriate time to really dig into the details. So if I'll just continue briefly.
One quick
Oh, yeah, and I don't mean to discourage questions.
No, but on that note, the public hearing will be conducted by the planning commission or by us? Or
By the city council.
It will be by, okay.
Correct.
Just
Correct.
because a lot of our public hearings are done by
Yes, this would come before the city council.
Thank you.
So, and I'm trying to manage something up there and on my computer. So, the city has already extended some outreach to the property owners. Everybody that's abutting, everybody that would be affected has been contacted as far back as last, I think, December, November of maybe 2022. Additional outreach has occurred throughout 2023 to include a meeting that we had at City Hall with the property owners to answer questions and whatnot. So the city resolution tonight, if passed, would set a public hearing date for July 20th, 2023. I will note the agenda packets that went out last week indicated that the hearing would be set for the 6th of July. We are not asking for that. It would be for the 20th of July. The city will provide ample notice to the property owners of the city's intent. If property owners object, they would file written objection. And if a certain number of property owners do object, 50% of the property owners, they would divest the city of its ability to vacate the right-of-way. All of this information will be again addressed at the public hearing. But after the public hearing with all of the information before it, the city council would then decide whether in fact to vacate the unnamed right-of-way. If they did that, they would do that by ordinance. So with that, the request is that, oh, and I'll just add, the Transportation Committee reviewed this back in December of 2022 as well. And it's taken some time to get to this point just because we've been having a lot of dialogue with internally and with property owners. So here we are. The request is to for council to adopt resolution number 1133, setting a public hearing date of July 20th to consider the vacation.
So moved. Want me to read it out? I would move to adopt resolution 1133 to set a hearing date for July 6th, 2023.
July 20th.
20th? Oh, yeah, July 20th. To consider a, no, July 20th, right?
This 20th.
To be, yeah, to consider a vacation of certain right-of-way abutting Rainier Road.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion from the council?
And just for clarification on the date, again, when the packets were originally produced, we had it anticipated for July 6th, but we've changed it to the 20th.
And so the record reflects the 20th. Councilmember Greenstein.
Just one question, I guess. So the abutting properties, if they object to this, they need to notified the city to file that before this public hearing, correct?
That's correct.
What it said? So they'll have plenty of notification in case they do.
There's statutory requirements for notification, and we're providing that and more. And we've had a lot of outreach, and we're going to be providing mailings also to the individual property owners,
Excellent.
notifying them of the hearing.
Great, thank you.
I have one question. Do you mind bringing that back up and going back to that same screen that Councilmember Kunkel asked for? And my question is, as many times as I won't say that we've seen this as a council, but I've seen it myself. The parcel to, I guess, what would appear to be the west immediately. During the subdivision, is it possible that a jurisdiction would just buy the parcel and that would prevent an action like this from happening? Just that single parcel, because if that parcel was purchased by a jurisdiction, then that could technically end up being a road.
Well, I defer to somebody that actually designs roads, but I mean, and again, this was dedicated via plat in 1921, and I think the way it was just all developed, it ended up. I'm sure they put that house there because, if we went further west, it just wasn't deemed to be necessary at all. And yes, you're right. I mean, we could develop this as a street now, but it's just
well now that there's a house in the way, but
of course,
but
if that house wasn't there, jump in, and if that was feasible, or
Scott Egger,
even if there wasn't a house in the way, we wouldn't want to develop it.
We wouldn't want it as a road.
So, like Dave says, this is the Links and Indian Summer, which is a gated community. So the next road to the north, Prestwick Lane, is the main road, into that gated community. So there'd be no reason to add another gated road into that community. So in terms of traffic demand, traffic volume, it would not be the best use of public funds to spend a dime on this.
And I only bring it up because I saw another development that ended up landlocking a 5-acre parcel just off of Pacific and Marvin. And I suggested to the owner of the 5-acre parcel, maybe you can buy that lot from them so that you don't get locked in. And it didn't happen. And I thought it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer. Buy the lot, and then that way you have an out. But I guess it's kind of a moot point.
Say, let the neighbors decide that.
Let's hear from a developer.
The only thing, I mean, I could see property owners wanting to have the city of Lacey's interests gone, and the only negative I see is property taxes. But you're talking 14,000 square feet divided by 7 different lots, and you're talking less than 2,000 square feet of that. I mean, that's really the only. Is that $1? I mean. But to not have the interest of the city of Lacey in that easement is far outweighs any thing I see, anyways.
And again, the action tonight simply sets the
hearing. Well, it has been moved and seconded, and it appears as though we've discussed it. So, all in favor of this resolution number 1133, please say aye.
Aye.
And Councilmember Cox, is that an aye?
Yes, it was.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously, and a hearing will be set for July 20th. Next on our agenda would be under ordinances, and it looks like we have ordinance number 1639, amendments to Lacey Municipal Code as it pertains to criminal harassment, and it looks like our Assistant City Attorney, Matt Sharp, will be presenting.
Thank you. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and members of the council. I'm Matt Sharp, Assistant City Attorney, and I'm one of the city prosecutors as well. Before the council this evening is Ordinance 1639, which is fairly characterized as a housekeeping ordinance, really. It pertains to criminal harassment. And I want to get out there that this is not harassment in the colloquial sense that we would typically use in conversation, but specifically criminal harassment. It's a narrow scope of conduct that basically could be summed up as specific threats. In 2001, there was a state Supreme Court case through the Washington State Supreme Court that analyzed the state's harassment statute, which was very analogous to Lacey's statute. And within the harassment statute, there is a prong based on threats to harm mental health. And it's not harming mental health, it's threatening to do so. And through that case, the state Supreme Court ruled that that provision of the state law was unconstitutional because it was both vague, affecting due process rights, and overbroad, which violates First Amendment protections. As such, the state Supreme Court invalidated that portion of the state statute, not the entire harassment statute because of severability, but just that portion. It came around this last session with the state legislature that they got to the housekeeping on that and updated the state statute. Coincidentally, about that same time, after this had lain dormant for years, it came up on our radar that we had similar language in the Lacey Code. We also have provisions that are very similar but speak to personal relationships and financial condition. And through evaluating that Supreme Court case, it appears that those provisions are vulnerable to the exact same analysis that the mental health prong fell to. And so at this point, we are recommending that council adopt an ordinance that would remove those prongs from the criminal harassment statute, conforming the Lacey Municipal Code, better to the United States Constitution and state law. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I would move to adopt Ordinance 1639, amending the Lacey Municipal Code as it pertains to criminal harassment.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions about this? Is there any comment about this? Pretty straightforward.
Seems like good cleanup. Thank you.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your presentation. Next on our agenda is it's the mayor's report, but the mayor's not here, so we will move directly into the city manager's report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Miller. First on, we have a full suite of reports under the city manager's section of the agenda tonight. And first, I'd like to call up our water resource specialist, Charlene McHenry, who will provide a presentation on our 2023 Consumer Conference Report for our water system.
I'm Charlene McHenry, Water Resource Specialist for the City of Lacey. I'm happy to be here. So this is a report that comes out every year. It's required by the EPA and the Washington State Department of Health. Every water utility has to produce a report that goes to every single water utility customer. So this is the 2023 report, and as you can see on the, there's lots of contact information, and then we have a QR code that is on the very first page, on the cover page, that gives people access. If they scan that, it will give them direct access to the spot on the city's website that has the full 8 pages of the report, plus the full entire water quality testing report. So it was included in a Lacey Life that went out at the beginning of June, which goes to every single water utility customer. So they got notified that they can access the report online. And this is how most of the access for the public has been distributed this year is electronically, which is something that was changed for all the utilities so that they can make it readily available to everybody. And so instead of printing off thousands and thousands of copies of this and mailing it to every single home, it was the code was given out in the Lacey Life and also on the website and press releases and Instagram and Facebook. Lots of ways that we got the word out there that they can get online and see the report. And it saved a lot in printing costs and also in, in printing costs and mailing costs. It saved a significant amount. And, but if I do have printed copies, so that if there are people who need a printed copy, I'm more than happy to get that to them. And I'm also making, this month is, I'm making an effort to take copies to places that don't get individual bills, like some mobile home parks that are on a main meter, and places that, like apartments, where they are not individually metered. So we're distributing it to everybody in the utility as best we can. So the first page also shows a really great picture of a project out on Carpenter Road that occurred last year. They this picture, they're actually, whoops, let's see. They are filling in the big ditch that they had to use to lay new lines and stuff. So that's a great picture. And then page 2, there's the mayor, Andy Ryder, with his statement and holding a glass of really great water there. And then explaining how the test results are something that is required. So we've got a little statement there about the test results. And there's lots of contact information. If you want more information, there's emails, phone numbers throughout this whole report. This is an excerpt of all the different chemicals and contaminants that are tested for. They are required by the state. So this is just an excerpt of the most common ones. If you want to see the entire list of all the different contaminants that are tested for every year, also when you go to this link here on our website, it has the entire list of all the testing that got done. And then we've got a statement that says that the report is available in multiple languages. Something else that's new this year is it's been translated into Vietnamese, Korean, simplified Chinese, Spanish, and Filipino. So if non-English speaking people want more information in their native language, we've got it fully translated for those people that are in our community that need to have it translated. So, and then on this page we've got our just a basic summary of the water use efficiency. Most of the water, of course, is delivered to people's homes, and then there is some that's authorized city uses, like like street cleaning and things like that. And then the leakage is, it's required that it be less than 10%. So this City of Lacey has done a really good job of making sure that their distribution leakage is less than 10% for the last several years. And then I've got a blurb on here about our rebate program. We've got the toilet replacement program, and then the lot also, we have a cooperative agreement with them for a rebate of $100 for a new high-efficiency toilet. And then we've got a free toilet program, which is really great, and I want more people to take advantage of that. And then we also have a $50 washing machine rebate for new Energy Star water-efficient washing machines. And then we also give away these free water-saving kits, and that's been very popular. We've got the outdoor kit that has the hose end nozzle, and it has repair kits for people to fix their hose, and I'm willing to show people I've shown several people how to repair a hose too with the equipment that's in the kit. And then we have indoor kits that have shower heads and kitchen sink aerators. We have hose timers so that people can set their hose and water their lawn and set it for 2 hours, and it automatically shuts it off. And then we also have soil moisture sensors. And all of these items are given to utility customers at their request, and they can call, email, or come into the office and pick them up, and we'll give them away for free. So, and then this is a reminder information about our mandatory watering schedule that just went into effect June 1st and runs through September 30th, and it's keeping me pretty busy. It just started, and there's most people in the utility comply, which is great, but there's other people who need to be reminded. So this is a good thing to get out to everybody, to remind them. And then I also have reminder magnets that have the schedule that I distribute to people and mail to them. And then something else that's new this year is we have joined the EPA WaterSense Partnership Program, and that logo there indicates that. And they provide a lot of really great conservation information, irrigation information, really good stuff. So if people go to the link on our website now for the EPA partner logo at the bottom of all the rebate information on the conservation page, it will take them directly to the EPA website with lots of really great information about indoor and outdoor upgrades to help them save water. And then we've got the illustration for the groundwater protection, and it has really great illustration here that shows the wellhead protection area and the importance of reporting if there is a spill of any kind of toxic chemical in that area so that it can be remediated before it seeps into our groundwater, because all of our water comes from groundwater for our utility. And then it shows how long it takes for the spill to reach the wellhead. So it's a really great illustration of that. And when people see that, it will help them be more aware that they need to be careful around where the wellheads are. And then another illustration about where our water comes from underground aquifers. And then updated information here about how many water lines. This changes, some of this information changed this year because there's more hydrants now, one more staff member, more water lines because it's a growing city. So those numbers get updated every year. And then we have featured a couple of employees here that we're proud of here at the city. And Ryan Jewell is a new employee. He just joined last November, and he is an engineer, and that's his dog Moose. And I tried really hard. I had to get a picture of a dog in the report, so he had a really cute dog, so I made sure that we had Moose in the picture too. And then Phil Petty, who just retired in January, I believe. He was here for 37 years, and I'll bet you all are familiar with Phil Petty. He was a great guy, and we wanted to honor him in this report. And then another new section to the report is this section here on the PFAS, and that's in the news right now. So this is something that isn't being tested for, required to be tested for yet. It hasn't been, but it's scheduled to be tested for here, I believe December, isn't it? Is when the first testing? Yes. So there's going to be questions about that. I know everybody's been hearing about the forever chemicals, so we are on it, and we are providing links to the State Department of Health page 2 for more information about the forever chemicals, the PFAS. And then the last page has some information about joining Stream Team And it's got a great picture that was taken on MLK Day. Some of you were there at MLK Day, and I don't know if you remember, but that little boy there was one of our hardest workers, and he was wearing this little bear sweatshirt, and he was there for hours from the beginning to the end, worked really hard, and he was real happy. And so we're trying to recruit more people to be on Stream Team to do some of those great projects. And then we've got more contact information, Spills Hotline, and that's what we have here. So, any questions about it? Uh-huh. Yes.
I do have one question.
Perry pointed that out to me, that it needs to be changed for next year. Yes. Yep. Yeah. I know.
So with us putting the this pamphlet, this information online, as opposed to doing the mailers and the printing, I'm sure that was a big savings because how many people would we normally mail that out to?
I'm not sure what the distribution was in the past.
26,000 mailers. Okay. And then we're probably more effectively able to track like who's really looking at it by the site visits as opposed to the recycler.
I don't think we're
Can we do that?
tracking site visits. I don't believe so.
I thought so too.
Well, I'm having a meeting with Kelly Adams tomorrow, and I will ask her about that.
Deputy
Shannon,
Mayor and Council, we do have the ability to some degree to track who is going to web pages and how they're accessing the information, whether it's via a computer or smartphone. Some limitations, though, would apply to where that individual might be from where they're accessing.
Mm-hmm.
So we could tell you count rates again and kind of what device they're using at this point in time.
Gotcha.
That would be good. And then the hard copies ones, like I said, I do have printed ones, and I've got them in the lobby of City Hall, and then I'm going to take some to some of our other, like the senior center, some of our other city facilities, and then they'll be at tabling events, and then I will get them to whoever requests hard copies of them. And then if people need printed off copies of the ones that are in different languages, I'm more than happy to do that too. Say if somebody wanted, 50 copies that are in Korean, no sweat, I will print them out and I will deliver them to them.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Can I have one?
Yes, I brought some for everyone. One for you.
Councilmember Vasquez.
I just wanted to say I'm really appreciative of the effort we made this year to be very inclusive with printing it in different languages and getting it translated into different languages so that more folks in our community know your good work.
Second.
So thank you for doing that.
One more thing I wanted to say is last year's copy, the 2022, won an award for excellence in communication by the American Waterworks Association. So we're getting some good reviews on these things. So.
We'll see how it does this year.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to be submitting it for review. We'll see how it goes. But any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Charlene. Next, we have next two items are separate actions, but they are somewhat related. So I'm going to invite our Water Resources Manager, Peter Brooks, up to present on them. The first item is a proposed interlocal agreement with the cities of Olympia, Yelm, and the Squaxin Island Tribe regarding the Bud Bay Deschutes Watershed Environmental Steward Coalition.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So before you have this interlocal agreement, and what it's for is continuing the work that was started years ago, essentially. Back in the 2000 aughts, when the city was struggling to get new additional water rights. A process developed between Squaxin Island Tribe and the cities of Lacey, Olympia, and Yelm to consider all the water rights together as a package. The Squaxin Island Tribe was concerned that individual decisions on each water right may not protect their interests, so they wanted it looked at holistically. So they asked us to do that, and so we worked with them to consider what kind of things they had in mind for protecting their interests. And they came up with a couple of things. One was to have a parcel of land that they had been watching, a sheep farm down in the South County, taken out of sheep farming and returned back to its wetland environment that it was historically. And the other want that they had was that the cities would contribute in aggregate $500,000 towards restoration projects in other places. And the tribe's vision for that was that that money would be seed money. They would get grants or donations or something and pool that with the city's money to accomplish a lot of good work. So way back in November of 2011, there was a historic MOU signed with the Squaxin Island Tribe out on the reservation at their cultural center museum. What the MOU said was, once all three cities have received their water rights, they call it, I think, complete water rights or whatever, something to that effect. Once all three cities had received their water rights, then the MOU would be effective and we'd move into an ILA to accomplish the work. So the Department of Ecology issued the water rights, but the city of Yelm had its water rights appealed by Sarah Foster, which then became the Foster case, which then over the years moved through different court venues, eventually went to the Washington State Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, Yelm, you're not getting your water right. So, all three cities don't have their water rights. The legislature then intervened, and the legislature came up with which is sometimes referred to as the Foster Fix, which is a way that Yelm could move forward and secure a water right. So over the past year, they secured their water right. So now all three cities have their water right. With that in mind then, it's time for the ILA. So back in December, at the December Utilities Committee meeting, I briefed them about, yes, this is what we're going to be doing. And so from December until April-ish, end of April, we were working on putting together the ILA. And so that has been completed. All the members agree to it. Key features of the ILA is that the coalition, it's called the Bud Deschutes Watershed Coalition. The coalition supports regional restoration of water rights, mitigation efforts. It has a principle that decisions are made by consensus of coalition members. Everybody gets an equal vote. There's no bullying of anybody. Each member retains its autonomy and voluntarily makes and implements coalition agreements. And as I mentioned, the cities will collectively provide $500,000 of seed money. New members or associate members may join the coalition following a written invitation from the executive committee. The executive committee is the three cities and the Squaxin Island Tribe. And the city's financial contribution can be held in a conservative interest-bearing escrow account. So way back when we signed the MOU, we at least on paper said we're setting this money aside, our share, $166,667. We set ours aside, but it's just been kind of like rolling forward through the budgets. So at this point, we would be able, once this is signed, to just make our payment into the escrow account, mission accomplished, and then we just watch for projects that we would vote with the others to have the money applied to. So that's what's happening, assuming that all three cities approve of this. Then there will be a ceremony for signing, and you're all invited to that. That's going to be held on the evening of July 12th. And it's going to be held out at the property, the sheep farm that was restored. So people can get a tour of that and see what's going on there. And then it'll be just good times. It'll be different than when the MOU was signed, because that was indoors in the fall. It was a different kind of a thing. But this should be good. The weather, that's about the best time of the year for weather, as you know, so the weather should be wonderful. Does anybody have any questions on this?
I would move to authorize the interim city manager to sign the interlocal agreement to establish the Bud Deschutes Watershed Environmental Stewardship Coalition.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Are we going to get an email about that invitation?
I believe so. We're having a meeting tomorrow to start planning it.
Cool.
It's called just-in-time planning.
What would qualify somebody to be a new member or an associate member?
They would have to probably have something of interest to the tribe and also the other cities. For example, if they were applying for water rights, well, why shouldn't they participate in habitat restoration as well? Or if somebody else maybe wanted to have a large building project that might create a lot of impervious surface that might be a detriment to the watershed, maybe they would be invited to participate.
It has been moved and seconded, and if there's no further discussion, let's vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously, and we will authorize the interim city manager to sign an interlocal agreement to establish the Bud Deschutes Watershed Environmental Stewardship Coalition. There was one question that I forgot to ask before. Is there a deadline that's been placed on the other jurisdictions getting an ILA signed?
We're all working on it this month. Yeah, so the actual signing ceremony will be kind of pro forma. The councils are all considering it this month.
Great job as usual, Pete.
Thank you.
And then Peter will continue on too with the next ILA, requesting action from the council with an ILA with Olympia and Yelm as well, but this one's to implement phase 4 of the Deschutes water rights mitigation strategy.
Okay, so with this particular one, I had mentioned the sheep farm, and we, meaning the 3 cities, have completed the project. It was a massive project. You had to buy the property, had to get it all surveyed and figured out, had to have designs, restoration designs done. The property is located South Canada, as I mentioned, so if you're familiar, you go to Rainier, go south on Vale Cutoff Road, and when it turns, if you kept going straight, it'd be Richelieu, you turn, you go across to the Deschutes River, and you're starting to head east towards Yelm. If you keep going a little bit further south, just as a crow flies, you'll get to Lake Lawrence. That's the location where the sheep farm is. And it's had various names. I think right now it goes by Deschutes River Ranch. Through the ILA process that you've just approved prior to this, we may consider a different name. Maybe there's a historic name the Squaxin Island tribe finds meaningful. We might call it that. Anyway, we'll call it Deschutes River Ranch right now. So, we've done, through various phases of ILAs, we have done the restoration work, and it's all done now. And where we're at now is the maintenance phase. It's like there are areas that have, I don't want to call it hay because it's not like food grade stuff, but it's tall grass, forbs, things like that. That has to get mowed. There's a little bit of a noxious weed type of thistle. We have to watch for that and spray it if we find it. There's just, you own property, you got work, right? Mm-hmm. So there's land maintenance stuff to do. And this ILA basically allows us to continue coordinating our resources, monies, and getting that kind of maintenance work done. The other thing that this ILA does is it allows us to consider if there could be some kind of a non-government, nonprofit, whatever, who might want to take it over. So we could divest ourselves of it, and they could go spray star thistle or whatever. So that's what the ILA does, but we need to put it in place so we can start doing the work again.
I'll make a motion to authorize the interim city manager to sign the interlocal agreement for implementing the Deschutes Water Rights Mitigation Strategy Phase 6.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Councilmember Greenstein.
Just a quick question. So for maintenance of the property, is it the cost of that maintenance divided equally amongst the 4 signers,
Yeah.
the 3 jurisdictions on the drive?
We all have equal interest. We paid equal shares, a third on buying it, and the consulting fees, and the construction costs, and yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And this property is a conservation property in perpetuity, or just for?
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion on this matter? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any
Aye.
opposed? There are none opposed, so that motion passes unanimously, and we will authorize the interim city manager sign an interlocal agreement for implementing the Deschutes Water Rights Mitigation Strategy, Phase 6.
Great job again, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Next, we have another action item. We'll send it over to Public Works Director Scott Ager to give a presentation on the 2023 Overlay Phase 1 project and the bids we recently received.
All right, well, good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. So staff recommends award of contract PW 2023-28 to low bidder Tucci and Sons in the amount of $3,040,226.00. Just by comparison, the engineer's estimate was $3 million even, so pretty close. There were 5 bidders for this project. 50 working days are allowed, and work will probably begin towards the later part of July, early August. This project will pave about 5.2 lane miles of roadway. It obviously includes major road reconstruction, utility adjustments, some stormwater improvements, as well as some striping and other work. So you can see from the map there that on the southern end, it's down, works down around Horizon Point, Rainier Road, and 66th Avenue. Towards the center there, it's Emerald Hills area. And then the northern part of this work is actually just immediately south of the fairgrounds, so around Carpenter Hills Loop. So with that said, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Can I get a motion, please?
I would move to award Lacey contract number PW 2023-28 to low bidder Tucci and Sons from Tacoma, Washington in the amount of $3,040,226.
It has been moved and seconded. Discussion, Councilmember Stedman.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just noticed, in a $3 million bid, basically more or less, it was pretty competitive within $7,000-8,000. So I think we did pretty good there.
Yeah, it was a good competitive bidding.
So this project starts next month.
Correct.
With 50 working days taking us into August. You said this was just south of the fairgrounds?
So the upper area highlighted in red there is like Carpenter Hills Loop. So just north of that is the fairground. So Carpenter Road kind of wraps around that. I know the picture's not very detailed, but yeah, that little piece is just south of the fairgrounds.
Okay. That was my only question.
Scott, on the southern part there, that's Rainier and 66, you said. So Rainier
Correct.
from where to where?
So it's from approximately at the southern end about the railroad trail.
Okay.
Excuse me, at the railroad.
So pretty much right at the city line there, right?
Yes,
'Cause that's,
correct.
Yeah, okay.
North through the roundabout to 66th.
Okay.
And then we'll capture 66 there.
All the way across 66 then?
Yeah, I
To-
think to about the Ruddle extension. There was some work there, utility work done previously, but yes.
And that was the same flooded area? Is that?
It'll get down into that area, right? Yeah, but there's nothing we can do to impact or alleviate the flooding down there.
There's still nothing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, if you raise the road, you push the floodwaters back further. Plus, you reduce the distance to the railroad bridge. If you
Right.
lower the road, you just open it up more. So, yeah, there are not a lot of options, and it's a really interesting hydraulic there. There are numerous culverts running north-south under the railroad embankments, and then culverts east-west, both north and south of the railroad. So,
And it doesn't happen very often. I mean, I've lived out there for 17 years, and I can only recall maybe 2 or 3 years total that we've had that issue.
right, I've worked here 16 years, and I only remember twice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. Oh, sorry, it has been moved and seconded. And all in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously, and we will authorize. Oh, sorry. I'm on the wrong page now. And then I'll send it back to Rick because.
All right, and the final item on my report tonight is the request to extend the contract for TC Media, and I'll send it over to our Assistant City Manager, Shannon Kelly-Fong, to give a little brief summary.
Well, good evening again, Deputy Mayor and council members. Like the city manager mentioned, before you is a second amendment to an agreement with TC Media, which would extend the contract with TC Media to provide public education and government television and access for the remainder of 2023. The current agreement goes until the end of June, and so the request is to extend it until the end of the year. And then further discussion on public education and government television production and programming services is tentatively scheduled to come back before the Lacey City Council sometime in July. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the Second Amendment.
You want to make a motion first and then have a discussion?
Please. Can I get a motion?
Sure. Motion to proceed with entertaining an additional 6-month contract extension with TC Media to provide public educational and government television and access for all the remainder of 2023.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
We had talked before about working with TC Media and the understanding that some of the other jurisdictions might not want to continue to participate, and talked about the prospect of having an in-house media designed to handle City of Lacey and their public access in lieu of TC Media if they're not going to continue to be in fruition there. Has there been any further discussion about that? Or?
There has been some conversations on a regional level and also with TC Media, getting additional information from TC Media on some of their data matrix and potential plans if one of the jurisdictions may go another direction. It is our intent, and also too, we looked at those options as well. I think back in December at a work session where Shannon was able to present, kind of what this year's contract looked like and what those options are at that point. So that's the whole purpose of having the work session in July, is to go into a deeper dive. And tonight's action is just to be able to extend this contract to the end of the year to allow more time for those conversations.
I got to admit, I like the idea of keeping something like that in-house. We can have better control over the budget. Probably have a better format for the City of Lacey if we did that ourselves instead of continuing with TC Media, but that's my opinion.
There are some, TC Media was able to provide us some of the information that we asked for earlier this week and came in the emails. And so, our next work session will be taking a deeper dive into that and also having conversations with other jurisdictions just to kind of see where they're at and see what is happening with them. And if they want to afford to continue, with our portion, I think we could get 1.5, maybe 2 FTEs out of our portion. I think the county could probably do a little bit better than that. But it also leaves some of the other stakeholders in not too good a position. So, hopefully we can all come together and think of something that we can do together. And, fortunately, this gives us another 6 months to see if we can work out a solution. I don't know what that solution might be. But I guess our next time that we get to sit down with commissioners, we can, maybe take a deeper dive with them as well. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 There are none opposed, and so
Opposed.
I'm sorry, there is one opposition. That motion passes. Back to you, Rick.
Well, that concludes the city manager's report tonight.
Next on our agenda, under committees, standing general committees. Community Relations and Public Affairs Committee. That is the mayor typically, isn't it? Or is that? Community Relations and Public Affairs, council members. June 5th. We can go on to utilities and come back to you. Is that okay?
An issue
You're good.
going on at one of the buildings. So.
Okay, let's move on to utilities and
I can
and
move
come
on
back.
with utilities. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yep.
So our Utilities Committee met on June 5th, and we went over the mandatory water schedule and water shortage response plan. And personally, I think it's amazing that we currently have the output capacity for water of over 18 million gallons per day in a 21-hour period. To me, that's insane, but I'm glad that we have that resource. We don't want to see the consumption come up to that output, but it's still amazing to think about the capacity we have. We are fortunate in the sense that our measured water usage trends over the years are not necessarily hitting dangerous levels, but in the event of a long drought followed by low participation in fall and winter, we could have an adverse effect on our capacity. So likewise, if one of our water systems had a failure, that could also cause us to not be able to keep up with the summer demand. And our water shortage response plan helps the city and the public in how to take action in the event of a shortage or an unplanned increase in usage. To help efforts with water conservation, Lacey has a mandatory water schedule plan for when residents can water their grass. And the water schedule went into effect this month and goes through the end of September. Homes with odd numbers water Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Homes with even house numbers water Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And there is no watering on Fridays. That's my report.
And now we will go on to Community Relations and Public Affairs.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. One of my tenants had an issue with a water heater and, after hours and doesn't know a plumber and can't get the water shut off sort of deal. So I was trying to help her with that. She's stressed out, of course. So, yes, Community Relations and Public Affairs Committee met on June 5th at 11. It's a 2-item agenda, Lacey Life Overview. Donna gave us a report on its background and help improve the survey results to help improve Lacey Life. Its current distribution. We covered our communications plan and stuff like that. And our second item was advisory board stipend program. We're looking at potential direct costs, stipend amounts for committee members. Say if you're like planning commission or youth council members, some of them might have some hardships, of course, being students and maybe not having a vehicle or way to get here. If they do, cost of gas and fuel, stuff like that. We went over what the tax requirements could be, the liabilities, stuff like that. So it's going to come before this council, and I'm sure, and you're talking about stipend for volunteer positions, but she was just giving us an update on it and that it's going to be coming to council more than likely. So
I remember that, and when we talked about it, we talked about the possibility that there are community members who would like to volunteer or be a part of a board or have some community engagement, but maybe they need to ride a bus here, or they didn't have childcare, or they needed just a small need that could be met, could increase engagement exponentially. And so if that comes here and that's a possibility, I think that's pretty cool.
So something to think about. It'll be coming before us soon.
Is that your report?
That is the end of my report. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry
Next.
about the little hiccup there.
You're good. Next, we have transportation. That is my report. Transportation met on June 6th. And the Britton Parkway and Carpenter Roundabout design is complete. The right-of-way has a little bit work left to do, and this project will be about 6 to 8 months worth of work. I can't really tell you about closures on that just yet, but it is a much needed roundabout, as we all know, and we even had public comment on it a couple of council sessions ago. There were multiple projects going on in the city of Lacey, and oftentimes we see them, and I get asked about them all the time. And so I'm so happy about this committee meeting because it brings me up to date. Overlay utilities constructions that are to be completed midsummer. Front Street completion is to be on July 10th. 7th and Slater Kinney is completed except for the striping. The EV charging locations, the site work is complete at all locations. There is a slight material delay for service cabinets, and the work will be to resume this summer. There's going to be some citywide signal ITS detection upgrades, and I'm going to defer to Scott for just a minute on that to share with us the citywide signal ITS detection upgrades and what we can expect.
Well, it's good news, bad news. You can expect improvements there in terms of the signals, but there will be traffic delays when they're doing those updates. I think it was just yesterday I was walking down College from the shop, and there was quite a backup, and that's what they were working on. But it only takes a short amount of time in each location. There's about 8 locations that they're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks.
The Terry Cargill Reservoir, all the rings have been poured, and scheduled completion is Q1 of 2024. And Slater Kinney signal pole in front of Jiffy Lube is going to be completed this summer. The Mullen Road sewer improvement, Mullen Road pavement scheduled for July with no road closure. The Beechcrest wellhead pH improvements. Wells 15 and 16 will be offline until fall of 2024, but we do get a new pH building out of that project. Lift Station 19 replacement is underway, and estimated completion is 1 year, and that's off of Willamette Drive. The 2023 overlay Phase 1, Carpenter Hills Loop, 34th Avenue, Rainier Road, I think you guys just saw that. Overlay Phase 2 for Britton Parkway and Gateway is by the end of the year. 2023 Overlay Phase 3 will be 37th and 36th and 33rd. The funding will be by TBD, and the cost will be a little over $700, scheduled for fall and winter. We did go over the 2023 sidewalk repair, which will cover East Ruddle Park, 33rd, 45th, and that will be winter of 23 this year. New flashing beacon crossing at Ruddle and Hazelwood. That's going to be fall this year. So if you've ever come down, I think Hazelwood is right before that church.
Just a little bit north of Faith Loop. There's one bike on the church. Not Faith. It's just north of the church there on Ruddle Road, and probably, I think it's 35th.
You know where the new stem wall is? Yeah. I think it's, yeah, so a new crosswalk. I couldn't remember if it was is it a signal walk, Rick? I mean, Scott?
Flashing beacon.
Flashing beacon.
So we were going to include it when we built the Ruddle sidewalk, but there's a little bit of a right-of-way issue, so that's taken care of, so we'll do it now. But yeah, it's a flashing beacon.
Might take a minute for people to get used to that. Hopefully not too long, because that's a pretty fast-moving road. And then finally...
It was Faith Assembly Church.
The Faith Assembly. Finally, we have parking lot improvements at the rack. That's going to be 338 stalls plus 8 bus stalls. The paving will be July. Advertising, is it advertising that's going out? No, we're having paving. So the rack parking lot, where they already park, but in this case, it'll be completely paved and striped, really making us, pretty much the most awesomest place to have an event in all of this county, even more so. And we're going to have bus parking. So it's going to be a big deal. And that is my report. Next on our agenda, we have boards, commissions, and committee reports. And since the mayor is excused, that puts me up first. And I just have one quick report for the UGA, the Urban Growth Management Subcommittee, did meet once already. And the thing that we were trying to get out of the committee was to get our project recommended. Obviously, we want the Greg Coolio stuff to be added to our UGA so that we can just do one set of permitting instead of multiple permits for one park. And so the subcommittee got to hear Ryan Andrews. And I think he delivered so much quality information that they just said, fine, we'll go ahead and do that. It was impressive to watch. So our project did get recommended to be approved. The other project did not, which was the Grand Mound, a couple parcels in Grand Mound that some developers would like to see moved into the UGA, but it just like many other UGAs, until you've used up what you need to use up, they would like to see you develop where you are supposed to develop or for the set-aside lands. But the parcels that they were requesting did not have enough of the ecological data that would be required to move them forward. So they will be producing a little bit more data in order to resubmit their request. And that is my report. Councilmember Cox.
All righty. Lot Clean Water Alliance met last night, and we had a report from Jeff Hansen of HDR Consultants on the PFAS family of chemicals in water that was alluded to briefly in the report on the Water Consumer Confidence Report. This is a family of chemicals, and it's found in non-stick cookware, stain-resistant treatment for carpets and furniture upholstery, firefighting foam, non-stick food wrappers, and other uses. And scientists are just beginning to understand the health risks that these chemicals pose. And it's getting scarier because these chemicals stay in the environment. As was said, they're the forever chemicals. So in Washington, there's proposed legislation to begin requiring sampling of biosolids for land application, lot and other utilities. And they're working to get ahead of this to understand the level of PFAS chemicals in wastewater and be ready to meet treatment requirements. Lot is also beginning a diversity, equity, and inclusion and environmental justice policy and goal program. This would be internal and external. Sea level rise, short-term projects. They've installed tidal gauges, and there will be upcoming land subsidence surveys, groundwater study, and financing options looked into among the partners who are part of that. Lacey is not part of that because we're not on the sound there. We heard a report on the Centrate building rehab project, which is a building that was put up in the 50s, and it was updated, I think, about 20 years ago. But it needs a new roof. It needs to have its electrical and other functions brought up to current codes. They're also using the 16,000 square foot roof, once it's replaced, to include solar panels. And the energy harvested from those is going to be used to power electric vehicle charging stations. Centrate, in case you're wondering, is the water that leaves the centrifuge after most of the solids have been removed. I wasn't able to take part in the tour yesterday because, as you can probably hear, I have a cold, but there was a nice celebration on the progress made for the process improvement treatment program. They were also beginning a new digester process upgrade, phase 2, where they're replacing covers and other aging equipment. And this will provide increased reliability, greater flexibility, and efficiency. And finally, we heard a update from the director of their education programs on school programs. Their North Thurston schools and other school districts have field trips, and they are aligned with current science learning standards at the Wet Science Center. And it was pointed out that the North Thurston School District, I believe it's at Camacha Middle School, is building a green tiny house. And they came to Lot to see what components might go into that. So I thought that was kind of fun that it was from Lacey. The Climate Action Steering Committee is going to have a retreat on June 24th at 8:30, and I believe that's at our City Hall. And then the following Monday, June 26th, the same committee is going to meet to kind of hash through what we came up with in the retreat. So that ought to be interesting. Regional Housing Council met yesterday. It was a one-topic meeting on homeless services funding. We had about $12 million available for a variety of services. And it was pointed out that with an influx this year of funding from the Department of Commerce, we were able to get closer to fully funding grant requests this year than in most previous years, which is really satisfying because it's heartbreaking when you review all these applications for funding for very necessary services like community kitchen or other humane services, to say, I'm sorry, we can only give you 10% of what you asked for. So of note, the funding recommendations were made by the new Homeless Services Advisory Committee, which is a citizen advisory committee. And then the Housing Council unanimously accepted those recommendations. And then now that list goes on to county commissioners for final approval. I did cover ORCA yesterday for Robin, but I think I'd like to, because my voice isn't going to hold out, wait until her report time to give you that one.
Thank you, Councilmember Cox. Councilmember Greenstein.
So I do not have a report tonight, but I did want to keep the council in the loop on one item. I've mentioned in the past that we've been struggling a little bit at TCOM for getting the permits approved for for one of the radio towers for the new radio system for police and fire. That is a location that's within the county. And so on behalf of the board, as the chair of that board, I sent a letter yesterday, actually I think the day before yesterday, to the county manager as well as the 3 members of that board of the county commissioners, asking for their help in getting this done. We've been struggling to get this one permit done. It's a necessary building permit, and it's the process has just been unbelievably slow and delayed. And so I just wanted to make the council aware that that letter went out to the county manager and the board of county commissioners.
Definitely appreciate that. Councilmember Stedman.
No report, Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Kunkel.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have one report for Solid Waste Advisory Committee. We did meet on June 7th, and I'll cover some of the highlights. We had an update on the waste characterization study being done by the Green Team for Thurston County Public Works. The team who commenced this study took samples of waste and recyclables received from several different random sources to include commercial, self-haul, residential, self-haul, transfer station customers, and waste route customers. In the waste category, there was a great deal of waste which could have been recyclable material, and the top 4 culprits were construction and demolition material, lots of different paper, plastics, and food waste. And conversely, they did a study on contamination occurring in recyclable material from the same random sources. The waste route customers in the study had the largest contamination rate of approximately 17% contamination of their recycled materials. And I would encourage my community to specifically not put used pizza boxes in the recycle bin, as that is a soiled material, and we cannot recycle that. In our manager's report, the pre-design study has commenced for a reconfiguration project for the work. The work needs an upgrade in efficiency and flow to keep up with its rising demand. So there will be some changes to the landscape coming in the future. And additionally, we are also getting bids for a new commercial grade compactor, and we will mothball the existing one for future use and redundancy with the future work facelift. For drop box sites that are being staffed, we're going to be adding break buildings for the employees. A contract was awarded for this project, and construction will begin soon on building break rooms, basically, for some of the outlying areas for transfer stations. And last but not least, we have a siting study on the most ideal location for a modified South County transfer station, but still to this day, there's no concrete decision as of yet, and it seems to be paralysis by analysis. And that is my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Vasquez.
I have a couple of quick reports. Thurston Regional Planning Council met last week on Friday. One of the things that we spent time on is recognizing Karen Parkhurst for her many years of service, because she's retiring after decades working as a planner and a legislative liaison. And so it was lovely to hear from the members of Thurston Regional Planning Council how she had touched so many of their lives and their professional engagement with the council over the years. We also got an update on the Martin Way Corridor study. It's wrapping up, but now it can be used to guide some of the future partnerships and decisions on zoning, development, and investment that we have before us, so that maybe in the future it looks like one corridor instead of a little bit schizophrenic, perhaps. So we look forward to that. The future's up to us. That's kind of what we talked about when we went over that during the meeting. For the intercity transit, we also met last week and approved the 2024 through 2027 transportation improvement program, pending federal funding, so we know where we're going to spend the money we get from the feds once we get it. Orca met, and Carolyn attended on my behalf. I really appreciate it. She sent me some notes, and because she's not feeling great, I'm going to go over what happened at that meeting based on her notes. So Orca passed their annual budget unanimously. There were also performance measures under review for Executive Director Jeff Johnston, and those passed unanimously. This week is Smoke Ready Week, so they're putting out social media information and resources and a couple of websites that folks can go to see what the air quality looks like around this region, and also some tips on what to do as we approach what is now an annual smoke season for the Pacific Northwest. There's also some good news about them having received a complaint about nuisance smoke coming from the jungle. And it turned out that, Orca reached out to their partner Olimap, and Olimap went in and engaged with a resident of the jungle that was burning garbage, and including plastics and toxic stuff that you're not supposed to burn. And they talked to the resident, and I guess the resident was burning that trash because there was another disabled resident and they were trying to help dispose of the trash. And so it talked them through, like, you can't burn trash, but they were able to connect the disabled resident with ongoing help and prevent them from continuing to burn toxic plastics. So it's kind of a feel-good story on that. And they celebrated 55 years in existence and having paid off their building. So that's pretty cool. So Orca owns their own building, and that's pretty neat. And then the Board of Health met Tuesday and took a little bit of time to recognize the work of the Medical Reserve Corps in Thurston County. That Medical Reserve Corps made up of a mighty, I think, 105 volunteers who are both credentialed medical providers and folks like retired doctors and nurses, and also non-medically credentialed people who just help out, donated almost 1,300 hours in the past year. And not only do they do things like vaccine clinics, like they were massively active during the COVID pandemic, delivering vaccines and, delivering tests before we had vaccines, but they also do things like supporting the STP bicycle ride. They go into schools and they do like blood drives and educational events. So really neat to hear about the good work of that organization. And we heard about a proposed policy for routine food vending. So the county is coming up with a way that people who may not have the capital to invest in a food truck can still have like a food tent and be sort of, credentialed and have a permit through the county. And I was thinking it might be something that we would want to connect Wesley or somebody who's working on our depot district, because if you don't have the money to have a truck, but maybe you still have a great restaurant idea or you have a great recipe and you want to invest in this, they called it a mobile food unit, there will be a policy through the county soon where you can get sort of credentialed to do that, and it's a lot more affordable than purchasing a truck.
Awesome.
And those are my reports.
Can we back up to the Martin Way corridor study just for a quick moment?
Sure.
Is that something that's going to be presented to the region, or is that something that we're going to have to request come to a work study?
I think we may want to invite somebody from TRPC to come report out. Allison gave a little bit of a report, and I'm getting the feeling that Rick might have something to say about this.
Yes, of course, next week we have the joint meeting with the Board of County Commissioners. And there's going to be a fairly weighty agenda topic, but part of it is having the Martin Way corridor update at that point in time, as well as a joint plan for the unincorporated UGA status, so you can then talk about some of the annexation permitting issues. But that Martin Way corridor update will be provided next Thursday at the joint meeting.
Some really light topics for that joint county-city meeting. Great.
Yeah, let's keep it light. Hopefully we won't be there for 3 to 6 hours. But I did have one other question on the intercity transit. So I went to the Department of Transportation website to see, there's the park and ride right here. Okay, and then there's the construction that's going on in the parking ride that leads out to the on-ramp onto the freeway. And I couldn't figure out what it was or exactly how it was going to look. And so I went to the Department of Transportation website to take a look at it. I couldn't find it on the Department of Transportation website. They refer you to Intercity Transit's website. And I still don't know what's going on with that.
So I can get you probably some pictures and a description of the plan, because we've had briefings on that, but the goal is to speed up access to the park and ride so that you don't have to wait a long time to get onto the freeway. And also when you have to turn left and you're trying to cross, is that Martin Way? And, anytime there's traffic there, making a left turn there is really not ideal to keep a bus on schedule. So we've gotten these investments to make it a lot faster to get in and out of that park and ride, and also some improvements for people trying to get onto the bus.
So it looks like you're going to be able to take a shortcut right from the parking ride right to the freeway on-ramp.
Yes, that's the plan.
That's going to be great.
I don't think it's meant for cars. I think it's meant for buses.
Oh, just for buses?
Yes. It's a speedy way for the buses to get on the highway.
Oh, man. I feel cheated now. Well, with that, I'm sorry, Councilmember Stebbin.
Just a couple announcements. I want to remind people about Juneteenth Festival at the Rack, 11:30 this week on Saturday, and also the Olympic Air Show. So they're going to have the P-38 out there, and not many people know that the Olympia Airport used to be a station for P-38s in World War II. So a little history there. Most of the P-38 pilots passed away during COVID and stuff, but it's awesome. It's just a reminder of history and our local history, especially, and the impact it had on World War.
And that air show is going to be at?
Oh, the Olympia Airport.
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday.
And then
Yep, every Father's Day.
every Father's Day. And then the Juneteenth celebration starts at 11:30 at the Rack.
Yep. Until I believe it's 4.
3 or 4?
Yep.
Yep. And the barbecue is at zero cost to the public.
That's zero cost. Yep. Going
And-
on by the Fred U. Harris Masonic Lodge number 70, right?
And if it's anywhere near as good as last year, it is going to be amazing. Free barbecue. And with that, we have reached the end of our agenda in record time. I'll just leave it there. All I really want to say is, and not in my words, but in the words of the mayor, you keep it classy, Lacey, and we'll call this meeting adjourned.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.